Hello. So I am new to making YouTube videos, so I've noticed in my videos I want to maybe try and look more into the camera. I even elevated my phone for this video because I think that the speaker is underneath my phone. Hopefully you can hear me better. And I kind of have a throat issue. Anyway, I think it'll go okay. I'm just making a simple video about my experiences with God in my life. And I like this video because it's gonna be, I think it's timeless. I think it really is. I think it's one of those things where I'm sure that there have been people who have um, experienced God in their lives. You can find all sorts of videos on YouTube. Near death experiences, people die, they actually die, they come back to life. And people have experiences where they've seen Jesus. I mean, I find videos, it's very interesting where you will find a video that will say a number of people in a certain part of the world are converting to Christianity. Iran, I think, is one of those places. There was a video I remember that people, like Palestinians, had been having dreams, similar dreams, multiple people, and it's one of those fascinating things where, imagine it's a predominantly Muslim territory. I know that there are people that are Christian or Jewish that live in Palestine. However, when a number of them, Muslims predominantly, go to sleep and wake up and their dream that they claim is they saw Jesus. Well, I find that to be fascinating. But in my life, and it's really cool to watch videos on Christians talking about their experience, well, let's say their faith in God. And I love it because there are people that will debate that God is real. And then they'll be asked questions like, what are your personal experiences or about with God? And there's this idea of God being invisible. I'm here to give my own testament. Now, one of the things that will come across is obvious to be expected, especially because I leave comments on YouTube videos talking about my experience. I expect people to claim that I have a mental illness. Not everyone. I think certainly not everyone. Some people believe in God. Some people believe in God and may think I have mental illness. Some people possibly would say that, maybe they don't believe in God, but maybe they would have any way of defending my story in a more positive sounding way. I don't know why people would do that, but I would expect atheists to make that type of claim. As I've seen, I like finding videos where a predominantly, like, it's a let's say an atheist channel. I think like Alex O'Connor is a really good example. And he's not like very strongly atheist, but he is atheist, and then, or agnostic. And plenty of people watching his show just laugh at the idea of Christianity. Some logic behind it is understandable that, if you believe in leprechauns, you would be a fool. If you believe in fairy tales, you would be a fool. And while there are a lot of Christians, not a lot of people believe in the leprechaun stuff. I think it's pretty unusual to see someone that thinks that leprechauns are real. However, or vampires, not very commonly believed. For whatever fantasy world you think that Christians are living in, a lot of them believe in it, and it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you could say that the universe is pretty mysterious. You don't necessarily get to decide, how do you know that God is not real? Like, you believe that God is not real. Do you think that makes sense? Well, I think that God is real, and my experience proved it to me. And I'm going to be titling this video not to be clickbait, but to be, I'm going to make the title something like Conversations with God. my conversations with God, this is a two-way conversation. And there's only one meaning behind that, which is I'm not the only one talking. I hear God's voice, and it's exciting. It's amazing. Let me explain. I would say, I'd like to start this by saying where my journey began. Because it's not my whole life. I mean, I could give my background as a Christian, like any other Christian. I remember thinking, as a kid in Sunday school, I remember learning about these stories of God and his influence in the lives of the people in the stories and talking with them. And, it was, to me, I remember thinking, well, I mean, so God used to talk with people, but now he doesn't do it anymore. That was a Christian belief. That was the child who's in Sunday school, who believes in God, who's reading these stories, and then, I look at the world and I see, a blue sky, and I think about heaven and God, and I think it is beautiful. It's very beautiful. I just, does someone see me? Does someone know what I'm doing? I don't know. If that's who I am, and that's how most of my life has been. Alright, so I'm gonna maybe pull out this book. This is The Alchemist. It's a very short book. I didn't even finish the whole book. Very interesting, but I like, for 170 page, short story, basically, that I did not finish. It's very fascinating because it kind of brought me to the realization that God is real. And I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I just knew, like, someone had told me, it's a good book. I think my sister read it. I found it in her collection of books, and I needed to do a book report. And I read a little bit and did the report. I didn't finish the book. And then my teacher was like, that's like a really good book. What's your favorite quote from the book? And I was like, let's just look at my book report. So anyway, actually it's a previous teacher that asked me that, so I didn't, I got a good grade. There's this part in the book, so this is a big subject, so I might even want to make multiple videos just to make it, I can make a lot of videos about this, because this has been happening for years. I mean, in reference to what I had already mentioned with God talking with me, it's not new. It didn't happen yesterday. So there's a boy from Spain. This is The Alchemist. Boy lives in Spain. He's taking care of these sheep. He has a dream. He discovers treasure in Egypt. And his decision is to believe the dream that there is treasure in Egypt. And his mission, he decides, is to go there and get it. So imagine, you're taking care of sheep and you want to go to Egypt. It takes a while. It's not like walking and constant travel. The book is about, ending up in certain areas, working, trying to make money, even spending years at a time in a certain place just to, you're not crossing a desert, walking and walking and walking without stopping. You have to prepare. And so he travels to Morocco. And yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the journey, it talks about, that he goes to see a wise man. I always want to make the joke, he goes to see a wise guy, because it almost implies a wise guy is almost the opposite of a wise man. So he sees the wise guy, who's actually a positive influence, not the negative sense of being, he's actually helping, advice, how can I help you? And there's something about, how do you live a fulfilled life? I don't even want to talk about it, but something about like, imagine you have a spoon of oil and you're walking through this beautiful place with art, and you can't spill the oil, but you want to look at all the art. So some thing about life being, I would interpret it as being, you don't want to move too slowly in life and just stay where you're at, but you can't move too fast. You really have to be careful. Life is delicate. You have to be safe. You go too fast, you spill the oil. If you go too slow, you don't really get to see everything. So you got to figure out how to go. and so his advice is really what became part of my life. Fascinating enough that this wise man would just say, you know, on your journey, you will see signs, omens, a way of helping you. This is in the Quran. I mean, the Quran, I did go to a mosque one time, and they gave this to me. I bought it. Technically, I donated $15. I looked at it and it said $15, and I had 15, and I donated to their mosque because they gave me this book for free. So I gave them money for free at a very convenient price. Pretty even. And I mean, as a Christian, I would, you know, I could argue, you know, page 100 or something, it denies the crucifixion of Jesus. And a lot of it before that denial isn't bad. I mean, God is the most wise. Let me just find something at random. Maybe I shouldn't do this in a video. But I mean, I trust it. It's trustworthy enough. Those who believe battle in Allah's cause. Those who reject faith battle in the causes of evil. So fight against Satan's friends, for his cunning is weak indeed. Fight against Satan's friends. Those who reject faith battle in the cause of evil. I mean, maybe they reject faith. I don't know if everyone that rejects faith is always bad. But there's something, I mean, you know, what, God is the most merciful, the creator of heaven and earth. I mean, I really shouldn't do this offhand, but I could make another video about it. Anyway, basically I would say, you know, it gives a lot of credit to the Bible. That's how the Quran begins, is basically a confirmation of biblical truth. The Bible has truth in it. It is true. Moses, Jesus, Abraham, I mean, it's just giving admiration toward God and the Bible. Not that it's, you know, it's not, it is a different religion. I don't think that it's my religion. And one time I asked these Jehovah's Witnesses that were out on the street, and I mentioned this to them, and I said, you know, I think that it is probably better that they believe in God, and I definitely believe that it is better that they take the Quran to heart. Because if I want to be a Christian, I want to say, well, it would be good to give money to the poor. And so it's not about saying I accept Islam, because I don't. But it's about saying you can separate the wheat from the chaff. I mean, maybe chaff is denying Jesus as the Messiah. That's fine with me. And maybe the wheat, the sweet part is, you know, if the Quran says, you know, do good unto others, be a good neighbor, be a good husband, take care of the widow, the orphan, the needy, be a good person. You know, anyone can give me their own critique of the Quran. I haven't finished it. I've only read a little bit more than 100 pages. And then the Quran says something very fascinating. Something is my observation. And it has to do with the signs. And the Quran does talk about you will see signs. And that's what the alchemist is like, is on the journey, he'll see signs. And those signs are to be interpreted. Now, there are even videos like, this is another interesting thing. What is the meaning of 333? Or 222, like the series of, you know, everyone knows like the worst is 6. You know, 3 6s is the devil. And that doesn't, I don't really see that too often. Like, where do you just see that in the world? It happens. And, you know, but then there are videos that even like Sean Ryan, who's a really cool guy, former Navy SEAL, and he has his video, and it's like, someone's gonna accuse me of having mental illness. Well, then put me in the category. I blend in with a pastor way more easily. Like, if you had 100 pastors and you didn't know what I looked like or my voice, and I was within like a group of 100 pastors, and you said, which one is the person who said what I'm talking about, that God talks with him? And then you can go and talk with the pastors, and I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I just feel like I blend in more with that crowd. Anyone that's going to say, like, he hears God's voice. Is he crazy? Well, if you put me with a group of 100 people who were, like, schizophrenic and had mental illness, you're going to go into that group and you're probably going to find me and go, after talking to me for a little while, you're going to go, why are you here with all these people? You don't really belong here. And on the flip side, if you put me with like 100 normal people or 100 pastors, I'm not a pastor. I'm just saying. Put me with a group of 100 pastors and you might be like, that's just one, he's just another one of them. He belongs here. He's just like, he's normal. He's just like the rest of them. Yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of the, you know, I would say my own take on who I am. And knowing that if I say that, you know, so what happened is 333. What is that? Let's go all over the map so that we can keep your attention span and not, you know, I just want to distract you with like, no, I'm going somewhere with this. What does that mean? You see a number, you care. What difference does it make? It doesn't mean anything. But you can go on Google and ask Google, and then Google can tell you. And then you can find a video of Carl Jung talking about synchronicity and like synchronicity in life. And, you know, he believed it and other people believe it. Sean Ryan believes it. Maybe he's crazy. You know, it's like, what does that mean? Well, what it means is you think you see a number and then it has some sort of spiritual meaning. But what does that actually mean? Is it true? I mean, maybe it's just stupid, but is it true? And the meaning is this. God knows what you're thinking. Right? What else does it mean? If you're going to sit here and say 333 doesn't mean anything. You see it's a coincidence. You see it the next day at the same time, you look at the clock, oh, it's the same time. And you go on Google and it has some sort of like the zodiac calendar is just like your horoscope. It's like, who believes in that? I think that crazy people, you know, I don't believe in that, but in a sense I can believe in God's influence. I don't believe in tarot card reading or like magical stuff. But I think that there's no ceasing in the truth of God and God's ability to influence you and to be there to, you know, maybe you roll a dice and it lands in a certain way. Kind of. I mean, I'm not asking that type of question. I'm just saying it's not impossible. And the same thing with tarot cards or anything like that. It's like, I really don't believe it. I don't think I'm a Christian. I don't believe in that. I believe in God. However, in the process of living that life, of doing tarot cards, I think that divine influence, it might not be it's not recommended, like, do tarot cards. But that doesn't mean, like, God was going to influence your life in any way, shape, or form. So that's the activity that you're doing. I think it's still in the cards. And that's a very convenient way of putting it. Tarot cards, God is still in the cards. That his influence is still immediate and present. But don't do it. That's just how I feel. Don't believe it. Don't worry about it. I always think of things like that. Like, you can do it, but you just don't believe it. Don't worship it. Don't think of it as like your medicine. It's not the answer to life. God is. No golden calves, no tarot cards. Yeah, so I wanted to believe in, again, jumping all over the map. I wanted to believe in this book, and I kind of thought, what if it's true? I'm going to be living my life. What if, as I'm living and thinking, what if I'm going to see signs? And then I started to think, oh my gosh, I think this is happening. Like, it's like Sean Ryan with the 333. It's like, you go on Google, what does it mean? And it's like, well, you can say that doesn't make sense, but if you believe it, it's like, okay, so God wanted you to see it, right? God knows that you saw it, right? If it means anything, it means it's not just happening. Like, you believe, Sean Ryan believes it. It's like, wow, I believe it. It's like, okay, but then it's not just important that you saw the number, but it's still like a message, still calling to you. It's still like, it's like a knock on the door. That's how I think of it. But then in thinking of life to being like this, of, if, let's say I'm traveling and I'm thinking about something, like, what do I do? Where do I go? I can see signs. I see it. I think like a crow is a clear indication of like scary, death, bad, don't do that, stop it. I can get hurt. I think this is the most important one. I think the most obvious one is like sinning. Where something hurts me. It's like I get uncomfortable, itchy, like I think bad thoughts here. There's a physical something's off, and I think it's my mind, and then I deserve it. It's like whatever hurts. And here's a good example. I thought something bad about my boss. I was not employed. I had this seasonal job, not working. Boss calls me in. Now he's paying for his house. I have to give the whole backstory. Homeowner, husband, father of 3 children, is paying the bills, works every day. I'm, at home, lazy, no bills, no responsibilities, kind of basically unhappy, but okay, I'm doing fine, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, Jared, can you come on in? Okay, I'll come in. And then, like, we're working, everything's fine, and then he's under stress. He's a small business owner. And he's stressed, and he's like, he's got to go to the office and start working. He's going to go upstairs. And then he tells me, okay, now do this, now do this, and I want you to do this, and when you're done with that, go do this. And he goes away. But in the way that I heard him say it made me feel like, honestly, the way I thought in my head was like, oh, what an a-hole. What a jerk. And the minute I thought that, it's like immediately some piece of metal in the truck that I was loading just fall. And it made this really loud crash. And it's a big wake-up call. I mean, it doesn't mean, if you think you don't believe in the signs, and you don't believe in God, it's still like hey, I kind of thought like he's a jerk, and I kind of thought it in kind of a mean way, and it was so fast. It's like, I know it's so unpredictable. I didn't know I was going to think that way, and I did, and I didn't know something was going to fall, and maybe it's a coincidence, but it's just a lived experience. It's one that I don't deny, and it's something that billions of Muslims would testify to. It's like, that's what the Quran says. I would not say that as a Christian. I would not say that's impossible. I am a Christian. I'm not looking to the Quran and saying I trust in that more. But I would not look at the Bible and say that none of this makes sense. It's still possible. It's still like, well, is it kind of a sinful, demonic idea? I don't know. He didn't do anything wrong. He's actually working to survive. But in that moment of like, I'm showing up and I'm under a new form of stress, am I thinking something that's really not fair? Like, he just told me to do this and this and this, and bye. And I'm like, you could just be like, okay, yes, that's the job. I'm here to do the job. Nothing changed. I'm still working. He's still working. He didn't say I'm going on break and I don't like you. He just said I have to go do something else, and I have to obviously keep doing what I'm doing. And then somehow and that gets twisted in my head. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're mean to me. And you're mean, and I thought, and then something falls, and then it's like, you know what? This is his life. Something fell. It's dangerous. It's a new experience for me. Maybe I can just be a little bit more humble. I think it comes from a place of pride to think something negative about him when he's paying me. And it's like the first day. Doesn't that come from pride? That's a proud thing, right? I'm good. I'm great. He's not so great. I don't really like him. You could be more humble and say thanks. And it's really good to be here. Yeah, and I believe in that. That's the most obvious one until God started talking to me. Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. We're 26 minutes into this video, and what am I gonna do but get into the whole thing that I'm talking about? I just want to give a background. It feels weird to give a background when I know what I'm talking about is going to be the rest of my life. I don't think I could ever stop hearing God speaking, because it's like Jesus said that God is spirit, and I believe that there is this good spirit, the creator of the universe, that is, there are certain things in the Bible that I would say before this experience I thought to be a little bit hard to believe. Like, I believed in Jesus, I believed in the crucifixion, I believed in the resurrection. And then I can take anything out of the Bible and say, like, Jesus walked on water, or, God knows every hair on the top of your head. Certain things like that, where I would say, maybe I had doubts. Like, okay, Jesus resurrected, but God knows every hair on the top of my head. That's weird. That's unbelievable. I think it's true. I think it's important to say I'm a good mind reader. I don't read minds literally, but in the sense of trying to interpret what the temperament, the behavior, the mindset of the person before me. I have a lot of mental tricks. I understand this. This is kind of like it's my own version of philosophy, I think, in dealing with, meeting new people. If I'm nice to everyone, it feels like the right thing to do. Just be nice to everyone. You could look scary, you could look blah, 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 dirty. Kind of try to be nice. I just get worried about germs and safety. That's it. Safety. And I have a way of speaking with people that I think is good, because I can tell sometimes when I speak, I can speak forthrightly, and I can try and say something that's nice or funny. And I think when it catches people off guard, and I think that sometimes people are just already angry, and it's like it's a good way of getting to see what's going on with someone. I mean, now I'm getting into like life advice, but it's the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's like the sin. It's like, I think that, like the Quran says, that he who, that's a quote from the Quran, is he who knows every thought. So it says that God knows everything that you think and everything that everyone thinks. And then I think that matters, because I think, yeah, there's no way around it. Like, if you are thinking, and I don't recommend it, it's not a recommendation, I recommend that you don't. But if you end up in a situation, if you think something that is not legal, is something that is criminal, I think that you'll be punished in those thoughts. I don't think that you can just sit there and say that this is private information. It's like, that's why there's certain phrases in the Bible that I believe in 100%. And this experience changed it. The first one, I know every hair on the top of your head. Another one I didn't believe. The things that you do in private will be shouted from the rooftops. That's not a quote, but that's like a paraphrase. What you do in private will be shouted from the rooftops. I think that's 100% true. I had so much doubt in those types of phrases from the Bible. But then I think you might not like it. You might not think that it's fair, but you're not alone. I don't think you're alone ever. And this is like, I saw a quote on the side of a church, a quote from Isaiah, and I haven't read all of Isaiah, just parts, little bits. And because it's a bigger book, and I've got bits over the years. But the quote was like, something like, even in the deepest waters, he will be there with you. And so, like, if you're Jewish or you're a Christian, this is in the Bible. And then it's like, I actually believe that. I believe that, it doesn't matter where you are, and you could be in the middle of nowhere, on a boat in deep waters. And I just think you are not alone. And that's easy for me to say because God talks to me. But, so 30 minutes in, let me make another video. But I want to make this video because of the preface, the introduction, what's going on, a little minor description of who I am. Okay, God talks to me through the wind and birds. Any physical phenomena, anything physical, the world, inanimate objects, very unlikely. It's very unusual. Like, I live a basic, normal life. But things fall over. I mean, it's not like you look at the world and you say inanimate objects are stationary. That's not a true statement. Inanimate objects are usually stationary. They don't do anything, but things fall, things move. I hear things. It's just the voice I hear is within the sounds of the physical world. It could be anything like brakes, a bus, cars, an engine. Really unusual because it's kind of all the time I hear God's voice. But yeah, that's the thing though. It's not just that it's this constant, like, oh, I hear him saying something. It's like, I can go outside and I hear him all the time. It's like, I like opening my window because I like to let the air in, because what I've noticed is the Spirit of God predominantly works in this way of, the wind and, birds. And I just think that that's true. I think that it doesn't matter to me because anyone could say that they're doubtful and they don't believe in that. But Christians believe it. I don't know if they'll believe me. However, someone would if they've had the same experiences. My feeling is your thoughts are not private to you. God knows what they are. If you're thinking sinful thoughts, something that is not acceptable, I would say that, do we not get punished for it? Would you be punished? I believe that you would be. I don't think that I see this in my life all the time. And I don't think that people connect the dots, right? It's like, there's like the idea of what I was saying before was, if I talk to you and I say something, I say, hey, how are you? But you don't know who I am. Some people are ready to be nice, and some people maybe have pain in their life and they're angry about something and they're mad, and so you show them a good deed or a good demeanor and it catches them off guard and they might think something a little bit evil, and I see it in their reactions, like, something itchy. It's like they get a little bit, and I think It's like, I don't judge them. I just know that I recognize that it's happening. I'm serious. Really serious. Yeah, if you think something like, I hate you, like, to me, I think that I see it happen. It's like, I can tell that someone's a little bit angry and pissed off, but then it's like, yeah, but I didn't do anything. I'm not here to hurt anyone. And when you're here to be a genuine contributor, a good citizen, and to be friendly, when people in the world hate you, I think it's not fair. And then I see the punishment. I don't think they connect the dots, because sometimes I think that this probably happened when I was younger, where I could probably do something a little bad or something, and then maybe get punished, and then you know that it's bad, and then you just, I gotta stop doing this. This is bad. But you don't connect the dots. I think connecting the dots is like, it mattered that I thought something bad. I was punished for it. And maybe connecting the dots is going to, and maybe the world around me, the Spirit of God is aware of what's happening. Like, knowing and willing to show me, kind of like an intelligent being outside of me that is good and, loves everyone, but not okay with the evil part. You don't get away with it. And so, and it's just true. I mean, I think that those are some of the most obvious things that happen where I go, it's undeniable in my life, because someone somewhere is going to say I might have a mental illness. When I go outside and I talk with God, he talks with me. I should mention, okay, what does God talk about? Russia and my family. Very interesting. Sometimes I'm like, what are your priorities? Like, sometimes, like, well, he does have priorities, and those are the good ones. Those are the things I'm like, you're worried about the things that, if I listen to you and I hear what you're saying, this is what matters at the moment. Sometimes, because I hear God's voice all the time, I think, wow, like, it's very unexpected. I don't know why does this matter so much? And I'm talking about other things, but to be fair, it's like, I think to get the big picture, there's war, but then God is also very personal. God talks to me about my family and my friends. It kind of comes across like God looks at the people that have been in my life and is talking to me about them, maybe how they're doing, a little bit of like private information that, it's just, it means a lot to me, and it's been good. And I don't want to describe it like, sometimes I do think like, wow, like, I'm a little surprised. But I think in putting that aside, I think there's something very obvious going on. We just have to believe in, I would say, like, the sermons, the church. I like any church. I want to go to any church that professes to be Christian and has a good message. I think it's good to take care of the poor. I think it's good to take care of people that need help, and to be a good contributor in society, and to love good and hate evil. And yeah, I don't know, do I talk about the details? Like, I want to leave it at that. There's just a lot to talk about in terms of what God says, but I feel probably more at peace with myself at the moment. Maybe to make another video to go into the details. Yeah. So, well, I'll leave it at that. 40 minutes, and maybe just a prayer for, unity and community, self-ownership, accountability, we can all pitch in to help ourselves. I mean, we can all try to take care of ourselves. Because I think if you give that message, people are more likely to help other people if you help yourself first. Obviously, that's a good thing that we help each other, that we look at the natural disasters that happen, the pain that people are going through, like the shooting in Minneapolis. I wish for community, for good tidings between our diverse groups of people that are often fighting and not looking at things from the lens of how can I help this other person, but look through it like being a little bit mad. And it's tough with everything that's happening in Gaza. It's a challenge because I know that a lot of Christians will support Israel, and I don't. I support Israel. I support the state, the people of Israel, but not their racism and not their apartheid. I believe in due process. And so if anyone is pro-Israeli, that's fine. If anyone is offended at everything that they've been doing, I'm kind of in that boat at this moment. But I do want a good, positive outcome for everyone. I mean, like Senator Lindsey Graham is talking about, this was probably a couple months ago where he mentioned that and many people in this country are standing firmly with Israel. And I expect that at this point, giving money and weapons. And it's not if you want to defend Israel, if you want to keep them safe, that is A-okay. That is not offensive to me. Lindsey Graham, you can do what you want to save Israel. That's fine. But when they're doing what they're doing, very, very terrible. So, what can I do? I wish that everyone put down the answer to this whole problem is everyone puts down their guns. Everyone knows what the answer is. Everyone can figure it out. It's not difficult. As complicated as it is, and we can always say, we don't know how to make the situation actually happen. You can't control what other people are doing. Other people do what they want to do. But we can still say what the answer to this whole problem is. This is the moment that everyone says that I do not want this gun. You can be like, I'm an Israeli soldier, and say, I need this gun to keep myself safe from them. And if you put it down, but if they put down their gun and you put down your gun, it's over. That's it. You need to work together. And people want certain land, and they have land disputes, but no guns. Because land disputes are land disputes, and hopefully they go fairly. You want people to have a fair outcome based on where they can and should live. But with an apartheid state, you're not going to have a welcome invitation. And yeah, that's why I think it's kind of an intractable war, because people don't think this way. People are thinking this land belongs to me, and someone somewhere is willing to use a gun or have a gun and use it to get what they want. That's too much. Because there's a difference. There's a difference between a good neighbor and a neighbor that, maybe is mad at you. And then there's the other category of a neighbor that will defend what they believe to be theirs with deadly force. And the deadly force part is why it's not going okay. Yeah, I always wish that it would turn out better, and it's a little disappointing to see my country involved in this, but you know, it's okay to defend Israel because they have innocent civilian population. Okay. Just, alright. God bless everyone. It's been good. I will be making more videos. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this, but I'm definitely posting it. It can sit there with no views. Whatever. Goodbye.